Okay, ladies, gentlemen. Okay, that's okay. So the deal is, you guys, do you see all these bonds that glucose has? Do you see all the little sticks? Every time you break a bond, what is released? Energy. So can you see how this could store a lot of energy? Your methane gas, is that flammable? Yes. And so just the little methane holds 4 bonds, but that goes way beyond that, right? A lot of energy packed in glucose. Okay, you guys, leave the models alone for a minute. Join me. Okay, now, oops, going way too fast. It is very common for glucose, not going to work, there we go, to bond to other glucoses or to other sugars, because glucose is not the only sugar that's very close to this. There's fructose, lactose, maltose. You hear the ose at the end? That is telling you that it's a sugar, okay, which is a carbohydrate. Okay? A lot of times we have in our brain, you know, when we think of carbs, what food source do you guys think of? Breads. Now, do you guys think of breads as sugars? Not normally, but some of you know it, and we'll do a little demonstration, I think next class on this, but I won't give it away now. Okay, anyway, so what you can do, I'm going to keep going though, is we could take 2 glucoses, and this glucose over here, if I was to pop off an OH, grab that OH right there and just pull, okay, now he has a place where the carbon wants to bond. Over here, let me see your glucose. If we were to pop off just this one's unhappy, which is fine. So we popped off this hydrogen. It was there at one time. And now, where are you going for? Come over here. Now look, we can, I need a stick, help me. Show me your hydrogen that we popped off. Okay, now hold that OH up. So now we have a disaccharide. Di means what? 2. And it's a dehydration synthesis reaction because, hold yours up high, what's that? They're going to bond together, and what are they going to become? Water. So we pulled a water from the 2 sugar molecules. They bonded together. So since we removed water, it's called a dehydration synthesis building of a larger molecule. Okay? So the same thing, okay, you guys, I'm talking over you. We could done it with a fructose and a glucose, which the fructose is just barely different than the glucose, as you can see. And here's sucrose. What's sucrose, you guys? It's table sugar. Okay, so this is what you find in your sugar bowls. So what type of carbohydrate is sucrose? What? A disaccharide. What type of carbohydrate is glucose? A monosaccharide. Now, some of them get really long, all through dehydration synthesis, and they make macromolecules here, you know, with the monomers of like basically sugars. So tons and tons of sugars all put together make a polysaccharide. Now, these things store a ton of energy, but also because of their structure, they also support. For example, cellulose is in plants, and it helps support plants. It's a plant tissue, basically. It's fibrous. Starch breaks down pretty easy, and that one is a really good food source. And then glycogen is back to also a structure. You have glycogen in your hair and nails and skin, so all the outer tissues of animals. Okay, moving From carbohydrates to lipids. Now the lipids are so long we're not going to worry about the models. But you have to remember your functions, and I'm going to show you a picture of them. So you guys know lipids. What's the other name for lipids? Fats and oils. That's one group of lipids. You're also going to see phospholipids, and then also the cholesterol and steroids are a type of lipid. So long-term storage of energy. The other ones I mentioned are really good with, they build your membranes in all your cells. Now, do you guys know that oils don't mix with water? So what are they? Are they polar or nonpolar? They're nonpolar, okay? Oh, I forgot to point something out important. Back with the carbohydrates had a fixed ratio of C. Remember this one? That was glucose. So what's the ratio? 1 carbon to 2 hydrogens to 1 oxygen. And here, lipids have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in them, but it's not in a fixed ratio like carbohydrates. Not necessarily, no. Okay, so here's a lipid, and they make triglycerides. Why tri? Because they have 3 tails. You can see there. And the glycerol comes together with 3 fatty acid chains, and that makes a triglyceride. Very complex. See why I'm not having us build them with the models. Well, because it's nonpolar, it's also, this is used as insulation, and not just with temperature insulation, which it does, but like even protection, right? So it's kind of a bouncy molecule. So because of those properties, it's not that fragile. Okay, so also a dehydration process. Every time the fatty acid bonds to one part of the glycerol, you lose a water. So overall, you're going to lose 3 waters. Another thing is, you guys have heard about saturated and unsaturated fats. I think I have a picture here. Oh, nope, I don't. Okay, so what the deal is saturated, you guys need to remember this, means that it's full. There's single bonds everywhere. It's holding as many molecules as possible. Unsaturated has double bonds. You saw that linear model of glucose, how it's zigzagging back and forth. Well, the same thing occurs here with the zigzagging back and forth with the carbon bonds. Except when you did the double bond with the first glucose, it makes kinks. And it's not just, that zigzag straight line. It'll make different kinks and then come back. Not that bad. Because of the double bonds. This also makes it harder to break down. So it's healthier in a high-fat society like we have, of eating fats. It's healthier to do unsaturated because it's harder for your body to digest them. If you're pulling out every bit of energy from the fat molecule, that's a lot of calories. So unsaturated fats is, the oils. It's liquid at room temperature. Saturated fats are solid. For example, what am I talking about? Butter, and what else is solid fat? Lard and shortening, right? And they're not awful. They're full of energy. It's just you have to make sure you don't eat too many. Okay, I'm starting to talk too much. Do you mind if I just go for like 2 or 3 more slides and then we'll stop and get her done here? So I talked about fats. Now, phospholipids. We're still in the lipid group, okay? Different category. Notice this glycerol here, this is hydrophilic. So is it polar or nonpolar? Polar. It likes water. So this is a really cool molecule. One side is polar and one side is nonpolar. So look how it arranges in water. Eyes up here, you guys, listen. Look how it arranges in water. The tails get next to each other because they're nonpolar, and they'll do this all by themselves. Here's the start of making a cellular membrane. So molecules arranging themselves because of their structure. And then I mentioned cholesterol and all these steroids. These are also a lipid. They make like sex hormones, like estrogen and testosterone. You hear the "own" basically. They're going to probably be a lipid steroid. Okay, then we get to proteins. I'm going to stop there. Now,